Okay, so this is kind of my neighborhood, but it's not really my neighborhood. This is about 10 minutes from where I live. And when I say 10 minutes, that included a little detour while I fucked about with my GoPro remote trying to get the thing to work. It just wanted to kind of play up a little bit. So this is a road that, I mean, there's nothing really special about it. Oh yes, there is. Sometimes I think about this road and the view that I get riding up to it or driving up to it. This is the first, not the first, but only a handful of times I've actually ridden and along this road to see the hills. But that's the Darling Scarp. This is a nice little mix of corners. I hope you can fully enjoy the view. I'm kind of recording this in widescreen because I haven't tried narrow screen yet, and I really want to play around with camera angles so you can actually kind of see exactly what I see, kind of like, you know, as close to being there as possible. But yeah, I mean, I live in a pretty good area, I guess. I mean, you get people that live close to the beach and they're like, you know, they love the beach and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't live in the hills, but you can see this is 10 minutes away. That's 10 minutes from where I live. I'm pretty close to the hills. And I've always felt, it's going to sound really cliche and horrible and probably lame, but I'm just going to say it anyway. It's like I've always felt a special connection to the hills. It's almost like it's my spiritual home, I guess. This is going to sound really, really wanky. But, I mean, there's been times in my life when I've had to clear my mind, and I've had lots of like, you know, issues and stuff going on, and the only place I could go to clear my mind and to think everything out through was in the hills. So the hills have always held a special place for me, special significance. It's very hard to explain. Sometimes, I mean, I'm going to use like a 9 Inch Nail paraphrase lyric, but in The Great Below there's a lyric that kind of goes, I can still feel you even when I'm so far away. And that's kind of how I feel when I see the hills, because, you know, nearly everywhere I drive around here, I tend to see the hills. Probably should have stayed in the right tire track. So it's, like I said, it's always had like a strong magnetic pull for me. I don't know, it's very hard to explain because it probably sounds a little bit crazy, but I've always held a very special reverence for the hills. I mean, look at that view. I hope you can make this out as well as what I can actually see with my own actual eyes, but you can see why views like that, sorry if I block you off camera, you can see with views like that how one can feel so drawn to the hills. But you can see it's very nice and green. Obviously, once it gets more and more into summer, they tend to dry out and it becomes a bit more bushfire-y and all that kind of jazz. But I guess we'll probably go to some bits. There was a bushfire quite a few years ago. Stay there, motherfucker. Me responding late to a car. Your lights, they be a flashing. No nod. We have a biker nod here, but hardly anyone ever nods anymore. So basically, if you see another rider, you basically give them the nod. But it's kind of a dying, it's a dying art now. Not many people nod, or not many people know about the nod. Sorry. And I remember one lesson with my instructor, and he said to me, "There's a biker, there's another rider, nod to him, because it's what we do." And I go, "Oh yeah, that's right, the biker nod." And so, I mean, I kind of, I guess, in a way, I got taught to nod. But you nod to most of the people these days, and I know you Yanks and other countries out there have got like a wave and stuff, you know, you wave. I don't know. Both systems work quite well, but only if the other person is aware of the custom of nodding back, reciprocating. But I guess that's society these days. I mean, people don't know. You know, that's the thing. I mean, they don't know. You can kind of see. I mean, this is still on the plane. We're starting the elevation. We're starting the incline. Oh, ascent. Sorry. Fucking hell. We're sitting on the starting the ascent up into the hills. You can see it's fairly flat here. It's a bit valley-y. It's a very valley-esque and pretty. This is a really beautiful part of the world. And this is the same hill you saw me go up. Obviously just a different part of the hill. Look at that track there. This is just a different part of the hill. This is the bridge that got melted. So here's me getting very sidetracked. But this is the bridge that got melted. And this place just got ravaged by bushfire. They had this road closed off and stuff, and all up there was just burnt. And there's a truck behind me, and he's like, "Yeah, please go faster than the speed limit." I think I was doing 60 there at the transition into a 70 zone. But you can see why I love the hills so much. Look at the hills. I'd really like to be recording a bit more of the hills, but I've got this truck behind me, and he's probably not appreciating me slowing down and speeding up. But you can see we're pretty much in the hills now. See? You know, 17 kilometres, I don't know what that is in miles. I might find it out and then convert it and then put it up on the screen. But this is only 17 kilometres from where I live. And I get to have views like this, you know. I mean, look at that. This is a beautiful part of the world. It really is. Watch out for ducks. I'm going to take the left lane here just in case someone wants to overtake me. See, look at that. We're actually in the hills now. See, lots of people live up in the hills and stuff where they're in roadworks apparently. So tank bag. Why do I have a tank bag today? Well, it's because it's hot. And it's going to be about 34 degrees today. Sorry, not 34. I think it was 37. Again, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Dead wildlife. So it's going to be about 37 degrees today. And when it's quite hot, I obviously don't need to say, it's very important to stay hydrated. So I've got my tank bag with me and a couple of bottles of water just to keep my hydration up. So if I need to get off the bike, I can have a drink. I don't really know what else there is to say. So yeah, that's why I've got tank bag, keep my water in there. So I guess the thing I'm going to talk about today is there's this documentary that's just come out. It's sorry everyone there. It's just come out. It's called Why We Ride, which is it's a documentary. It's a documentary. Yes, it's a documentary. It's a little bit of a film, obviously, about why people choose to ride and all that kind of stuff. And it's showing all across cinemas, all across the US and stuff, but nowhere here in Australia yet. So I decided to preemptively download it. And I go, well, if I really like it, as I do, being one of these people, if I really like it, I'll buy it. So I decided to download it, watched it in 2 parts, slightly before, a little bit before my work Christmas dinner, and a little bit this morning. And I'll just say, it's getting rave reviews everywhere. Everyone seems to really, really love it and all that kind of jazz, which is good. I mean, it's not a bad documentary to watch. My critique on the whole thing, it felt a little bit campy. It felt a little bit, I don't know. I mean, everyone who rides a motorbike enjoys it. But the thing is, riding a motorbike means so much to so many different people. It means so many things. Should have been what I said. It means so many different things to so many people. But it is true, we do all have a brotherhood. And that brotherhood, or sisterhood, or whatever you want to call it, I'm just going to say brotherhood because I'm going to be all brotherhood-like. That brotherhood is consistent and it's uniform, and the one thing that we all have in common is our love and passion of 2 wheels. And I remember before I got my motorcycle license and all this stuff, I just thought a motorcycle was just a form of transport. Like, it's like a car. You get in or you get on, you go wherever you need to go, and it's all done. I never expected and I never thought that it would be so life-changing and so life-affirming as to what it actually is in real life. And I've said to quite a few friends to what motorcycling it means to me. To me, when I'm on my motorcycle, it's the only thing that's important. When I'm not riding my motorbike, I'm thinking about my motorbike. When I'm not thinking about my motorbike, I'm thinking of adventures, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. And when it comes to like a day where I get to ride my motorbike, I get excited. Oh, I get to ride my motorbike tomorrow, Look at that, kangaroo sign. And what does a motorcycle mean to me? I don't really want to say things because sometimes things sound really cliche and they sound really lame and stuff. But I feel like in so many ways that the motorcycle, that learning to ride motorcycles and having a motorcycle has actually set me free mentally. It's my release. It's my antidepressant medication. It's all of that. But it's probably one of the most important things I've done in my life. I remember, obviously I'm in a very different headspace to what I now as to what I was prior to getting a motorbike, and I can't say, oh yeah, it's because I got a motorbike that I view the world with such positive eyes. But all I can say is, when I'm not riding my motorbike, when I haven't ridden my motorbike for a week or whatever, people notice. They notice I'm different. I'm a lot more withdrawn. I'm a lot more depressed. And that's because I haven't ridden my motorbike. I haven't got that release. It's just this time I can spend on my own and I can do whatever the hell I want. To an extent, it's my me time. And when you're extremely introverted like I am, I mean, the thing is, I deal with people every day and they take it out, and it really drains you. And it's very important to have that release. Find something that you enjoy, something that you can love, and something that you can feel passionate about to kind of de-stress and really, I guess, find what's important in life. To me, riding a motorcycle is very important. Balance. That's the main thing. It balances everything for me. Balance is an equation, I guess. That equation is life. I mean, granted, life would be a lot harder. It would be a lot harder to ride a motorcycle and do all these things that I love and enjoy if I was married or in a relationship, all that kind of stuff. So I guess in so many aspects, it's made easier by the fact that I'm single, because I don't feel like I've got these constraints. I don't have someone that wants me to always spend time with them, and I guess that's one thing that I've always felt pressured in a relationship, or in relationships in general, is I understand people want to spend time with you, but sometimes they get a little bit butthurt when you're like, I just need to have time on my own. I know you've been looking forward to spending time with me all week, but I just don't want to see you. I just don't want to talk to people. And I guess it's kind of weird that I'm having these adventures and I'm riding in the hills and I'm enjoying it all. And all I'm doing is just talking to myself in my helmet, to people that may or may not be listening. You know, it is a bit of a weird feeling. I guess the thing is, I will always wish I got a motorcycle sooner. I really think it would have made my life so much easier in my, mid-20s. I mean, I'm 30 now. Knowing now what I know about motorbikes and the way that they make you feel, I wish I got one sooner. I really think it would have made my life, my mid-20s, so much easier. I mean, I guess we all have troubles with our lives. That's what growing up's about, I guess. And we all deal with things differently. And I'm not saying that rather than dealing with shit, I just get on my motorbike and just say fuck you, and then it's gone. It's just a way to get clarity. I always like to switch to the left tire track when I pass a truck or a large vehicle. That way the wind doesn't buffet you as much. It's just kind of, I guess, basic roadcraft. For those that don't know, roadcraft is basically a skill set designed to maximize your ability to be seen and to keep yourself safe. So that basically means kind of basically positioning yourself in a way that will minimize your harm. So that means, for example, riding in this case in the right tire track, which puts you almost in the middle of the road, you've got maximum visibility. You can see around the corner a little bit more, but more importantly, cars can see you. But roadcraft means more than that. So say, for example, you've got this corner coming. People might cut the corner as they do. They might run a bit wide. So you want a head check, go to the left tire track, and then take this corner in the left tire track. And people probably, it's not what you would do when you're typically racing or anything like that. There's difference between road racing and driving. And that's a good example of roadcraft there. Notice how the land's starting to really flatten out. It's really flat out here. And see bushfires come through here not too long ago. Or bushfire or a control burn. I'd say more than likely a control burn. In so many ways, I feel so fortunate to live here in Australia, or I guess in Perth, or where I do, because like I said, I can. This is less than an hour. This might be half an hour from where I live. A half-hour drive. In that time, I could have gone to the city. You know. It takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to get to the city. It's taken me maybe 45 minutes to get here. You know, but further back down the road, you know, that would have been half an hour. I mean, the landscape hasn't changed that much. And the thing to remember about the Perth Hills is they're not mountains. So we don't have a lot of those really nice mountain roads that other places do, like the East Coast or anything like that. Welcome to Beverly. And we don't have, you know, mountain passes and all sorts of amazing vistas and all that kind of stuff, because this isn't a mountain. This is just a I've said it before in another video, it's a plateau. You go up a hill, you hit a plateau. Everything's basically flat after here. And that's one thing that's very unique about Perth. And the great thing, I guess what I love about Perth is, depending on what kind of shit you're into, we do a lot of things here. Like the other day I was at the beach and people were kite surfing, so if you love kite surfing, you know, you can do that here. There's a park not far from where I live. I've seen people, I don't know what you call it, but it's kite surfing, but with a skateboard. So maybe kite skating, I don't know what they call it. But you can do that where I live. You know, if you like the beach, we've got really nice beaches, which will be, I guess, a subject for another video later. There's so many dirt tracks here. If you like to ride dirt, you can ride dirt everywhere. Not everywhere. There's only so many legal places you can ride dirt. You know, I mean, there's indoor abseiling places and all that kind of stuff too, but there's a few places out in the hills and stuff. You know, you can go abseiling. You know, there's a Perth Observatory if you like space and astronomy. It's just, there's just so many, I guess, so many things to do in Perth. With that said, if I was a tourist, I probably wouldn't come to Perth unless you really liked the great outdoors. I guess my outlook has changed about it, but I don't really see why, if you were a tourist, why you would specifically come to Perth, because I don't really know what there is to see. I mean, I did that little tour video, but, you know, I guess it depends what you're into. Fremantle's really nice. That's the port city here in Perth. It's more of a suburb, if you will, but it's a port. That's quite a nice place. It's got very old buildings, you know, some of which date back to the day of the convicts. That's a very historical place. Plantation. That's sad. But we all need wood. We need wood to do things. Wood's got to come from somewhere. They need that land. You know, they need that land to grow things. A dead wildlife. And unfortunately, the environment pays the price. Cut down trees, plant trees that have more economic importance. Wildlife loses habitat to a certain extent, and the environment pays the price. So wildlife. I don't know what Christmas Tree Well is. I don't know if I should go there. I shouldn't go there. So that's the thing, like, people complain about naked bikes, you know, they go, oh, you know, you can really feel the wind blowing you and buffeting you around because you don't have any fairings to tuck into or anything like that. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I'm going at 120 and it's not too bad. I mean, if anything, you know, just kind of lean forward a little bit more. I mean, the way the seating is on this bike, it kind of encourages you to kind of put your weight forward a bit more. I guess if you're really stiff on the bike, then yeah, I mean, it kind of puts you in a more upright position and you might get blown around by wind a bit more, but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, my 250 that I had, that I spent basically 12 months on, that was a cruiser. So I'm used to being blown around by the wind. It's not a drama, you know. With that said, when you're on a cruiser, I mean, a 250 cruiser, top speed you can go is about 130k an hour, so, you know, whatever. But I mean, I don't know, it's a tough one because, you know, if you're doing the legal speeds, I think the maximum legal speed here is what I'm doing, which is 110. It's not that bad, but I mean, if you want to go racing and stuff, yeah, it's probably not the best. But I mean, I'm a fan of the Street Triple Racing Cup on Facebook, and it's really cool to watch these videos of these guys, you know, taking their street triples to racetracks. It's really cool to watch, and you know, they fully get their knees down and everything, you know. And I guess that's one great thing about the Street Triple is it's such a versatile bike. It's almost like you've got three bikes in one. You've got a sport bike, or you got an angry sports bike, because it can lose its temper very, very quickly. I remember one thing people kept on saying, they go, oh, you know, they ask me, what bike have you got? I go, oh, Street Triple. They go, oh, that's a fun bike, especially when you get to about 170. It's like 170 was this number that kept on popping up. Everyone wanted to tell me about 170 kilometers an hour on the Street Triple. But you can kind of, because of the seating position, you can cruise around town. It's not a drama. If you want to have a little bit of a spirited ride, because it's very light and you can flick it, and the steering is very quick. And I mean, at the moment, this bike is way above my current skill set, and I really want to change that. But you can use it to commute to, you know, commute to and from work. You can use it for cruising around, you know, putting around, not a drama. You want to take it to the track, it'll do track, you know. It won't do it as fast as other bikes because it's a naked bike, but it's still a sports bike. It's a naked sports bike. And the great thing about it is it uses Triumph's 675cc motor, which is the same motor that they use in the Daytona. It's got a few tweaks though, or downgrades if you will. It's got different cam profile, it's got different exhaust profile. There's quite a few internal modifications that separate the Street Triple 675 to the Daytona 675. But most of it has to do with the application for the Daytona. It's the Daytona is a super sport. And what do you do with the super sport? You take it to the track. And when you take a bike to the track, do you need low-end torque? No. Do you need mid-range torque? Not really. Do you need top speed? Well, definitely. And that's one thing that the Daytona's got over the Street Triple is it is a faster bike. With that said, I have not ridden it, so it all comes down to hearsay and reviews and stuff. But from everything that I understand about motorbikes and their applications, which I could probably write on the back of a matchbox, the Daytona is just a different beast. It's like using a screwdriver as a chisel, you know? You can use a screwdriver for light chiseling duties, but when you need to actually hack some shit, some actual wood, you gotta use a chisel. And that's what the Daytona is. The Daytona's a chisel. The The Street Triple's a broad screwdriver. It'll do the job, but it won't do the job as well as the Daytona. I'm surprised I haven't seen a dingo out here. Fucking, you gotta watch out of dingoes, you know. A dingo ate my baby. That's why you gotta watch out for. Dingo ate my baby. Look at this. Flat land, obviously someone's farm. Don't know what that is, we'll just say it's wheat. They farm all sorts of things out here. It must be hay. You can see some hay bales. That's one thing I love, I guess, riding around out here. You know, they farm canola out here, wheat, barley, basically all the things you need to make beer. Except for hops. I don't think hops grows here. But, you know, wheat, barley, lupins. Obviously you don't need lupins in beer, but we grow a lot of things here in WA. We're very big on primary industry and exporting. So the other day, there was another video came out of the Middle East about these live exports that we're sending, and I haven't watched the footage. And to be honest, again, I mean, I don't think I need to, because I already oppose live animal exports. And there's so many reasons and so many issues as to why I oppose live animal exports. And it kind of comes down to this. I mean, there's so many issues. The animals do not need to be shipped live. They can be processed here, and that's not a drama. But it's the way that they're shipped, the way they're transported is it's very horrendous. You know, it'll be 40 degrees here on a summer's day, and they'll have a truck loaded up with sheep, and they're fucking packed. They can't move. Now, I don't have the sense of smell, so I can't comment, but everyone always says they fucking stink of shit. What do you expect? You've got, you know, a few hundred animals crammed up in a truck. It's going to smell. And the very sad thing is when you see these trucks and there's a sheep that's fallen over and its legs sticking out of the side of the truck, because it's like they're in crates. And the poor thing can't get up. And it has to, you know, it has to spend, it might take an hour to get to the port. It has to spend the next hour of its life in agony and anguish. And no animal should ever have to feel that. No animal should have to feel like it's lost hope. It's in anguish. It's in pain. There's a quote, and I don't know who said it, and that's a live animal export. Truck that one. I don't know who said it, and the quote basically goes along the lines of, let me think here for a second. Basically, we maintain responsibility for that of which we have tamed. Something along those lines. And to me, that means you've taken an animal, it's no longer wild. You've kind of domesticated it, and you've kind of taken away a lot of its natural instincts. It's probably not really going to survive very well in the wild once you've taken those instincts away. So it's not really going to be able to be, it can be rehabilitated back into the wild, right? But you must assume responsibility and care for it, because it can no longer do that. That is the responsibility. Because it can no longer support itself, and it's dependent on you. That it is your responsibility to take care of it. And that includes the live animal export. These animals, the way they're transported and shipped, just even to the harbour, is horrible. And yet they've got to endure days to get to the Middle East, or to get to Indonesia, or wherever they're going. And they have to endure that torment, the conditions, the heat, everything. They're not transported humanely. And that's the issue for me. They're not transported humanely. So they spend, a few weeks. Just, can you imagine being put in that situation, how you would feel. I mean, we read about how the Jews were treated in concentration camps during the Holocaust. You know, it's atrocious, and yet we do that to animals. We do that to animals every day. You know, and that's wrong. So not only are these animals kept in these shit conditions, and they are horrible, then we send them off to the Middle East or Indonesia or wherever, and they're alive, and then the sick fucks torture them, stab them in eyes, cut their throats open when they're alive so they bleed out in front of the other animals. You know, that's kind of akin to watching someone break into your house, rape your parents, or rape someone that you love or you know, brutally beat them in front of you, and then they're saying, "Ha, you're next." It's not right. It's not right. Don't do that. You know, it needs to stop. I mean, there's enough of an outcry. There's enough protest. There's so much information now. I mean, back in the days before the internet, it was just basically a bunch of tree huggers writing books, handing out leaflets and shit, going, "This is what's happening," and people just swept it under the rug. But in today's world of media, you can't sweep it under the rug. It's too important to sweep under the rug, and it has to be stopped. The thing is, if it was done humanely, I probably really wouldn't have an issue with it, but it's not humane. It's not even pretending to masquerade as humane. The politicians want to believe it is, but it's not. And it has to stop. I'm sorry. It's got nothing to do with them being a Muslim. It's got nothing to do with their religion. It's all about how the animals are treated, and it's just not correct. It's just not right. And I think that's one thing that's really horrible about life, about the world where it is at the moment, is people have no respect for life. It's like they've become desensitized and switched off to where their food comes from. And they forget that these animals that they're eating, they're not just animals, okay? People seem to go, "Oh yeah, they're animals." They forget that these are living, breathing, eating creatures that feel emotions, you know? They feel fear, pain, anguish, all that kind of stuff. And they're sentient creatures. They might be lower down the food chain, but they still have the same kind of feelings that we do. They just express them differently. And it's almost like, you know, you can go to a supermarket and you can buy a slab of meat and you go, meat, cow, yum, love me some cow. But they forget that that cow was a creature, and that creature had feelings and all these considerations and stuff. It kind of sucks being stuck behind this truck, but it's alright, I guess. It's more of a putt-putt kind of cruise thing. This almost looks like where I'm from, down on the plain, on the other side of the hills. I don't know how he can get away with his license plate like that. Because he wouldn't, because of the cops. So the thing is, it's 20 to 10, and I just wanted to go out for a ride and kind of get this out of my hair and get a ride out early, because it's going to be hot today. Like I said, 37 degrees or something along those lines. So yeah, just wanted to do a ride in the morning before it got hot, and you can start to feel it's getting warm. But with that said, I am fairly inland, so I'm 85 kilometers from home. I don't know how far that is in miles. If this makes it into the video, I'll have to convert it to miles. So I had my first service last week. That was at basically just over 1,000 kilometres. I think I serviced it at 1,027 or something along those lines. Because the toy run just kind of ticked me over the edge. I knew that was going to happen. That wasn't a real drama for me. So, in this week so far, I've managed to do 300 kilometres. So I guess that's not too bad. And it's such a fun bike to ride. I mean, the other day, it took me 64 kilometres to get home. Because I just went on a detour and just went for a ride. Took me more than 64 kilometres, sorry, more than 65 kilometres to get home from one work. I live 5 kilometres away. What the fuck? A boat? Huh. Oh well. People inland still have boats. I always find that a bit weird. So yeah, I had my first service last week, and there was a few minor issues with the bike, and it's not necessarily the bike, just the lax attention to detail that the service staff had, but that's irrelevant. So the service intervals on this bike is 10,000 kilometres. I don't know what that is in miles. So I guess, with a good fully synthetic oil, it'll do 10,000 kilometres without any real issues. But, I mean, just for engine longevity, I know some people will service, or they'll dump the oil every 5,000. Because this is still partially on break-in, I might just dump it at, 4.5, probably 5,000, because the oil itself would have only done 4,000 kilometres. I'll run an oil flush chemical treatment through there, hopefully to flush out the rest of the metal filings and stuff that might be in the oil because of break-in. Probably change to a semi-synthetic oil. It's still on a semi-synth. I don't know what oil they put in the bike out of the factory. They might have a special oil for break-in, but they used fully synth in this bike. They recommend either fully synth or synthetic oils. So I think I'm just going to go semi-synth up to 10,000 kilometres. I'll get someone to service it at 10,000 kilometres, and then I'll get them to I think that was a dead fox. What did the fox say? Dead. That's horrible. So yeah, might just get them to service it at the 10 and then dump the oil at the 5 myself, and then get it serviced at the 20 thou, that kind of thing. I don't know how long I'll have this bike for. I've always said, I think I'm going to keep it forever and all this kind of jazz. I might outgrow this bike. I love this bike, and I've customized it to the point where I absolutely adore this bike. I'm in love with this bike. I mean, I do want to get more bikes. I mean, it's just the way it is with bike people, I'll probably have a few bikes, but I'll keep this one as an all-rounder, because it can almost do everything. I think this video is getting boring, so I guess I'll say goodbye to you, but might pick this video up at a later time. So goodbye for now.